And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Let's go, Tony, to Francis in New York. Francis, thank you so much for holding. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Good morning.
Good morning, and thanks for taking my call.
You're welcome. What can I do for you?
Okay, I have a 2006 Impala, 6-cylinder.
Got it.
All of a sudden, not all of a sudden, a couple of weeks ago, it has started making noises underneath. It sounds like there's something loose under the carriage, but there hasn't been. The man at the garage told me that, and they serviced my car all the time, he told me that this is something that does happen with Impalas when they have high mileage. Have you ever heard of that?
Well, I've heard of plenty of noises, but Francis, here's the answer to that is no, it's not acceptable. Ask, when someone tells you that, it's like I've had so many people to call me and say I went to the dealer and they say, well, they all do that. I mean, and it may be true on Toyota had some initial crank up engine noise that was real modest and moderate. It was just like a little, you barely could hear it. Of course, I'm tapping on the mic, you could hear that, but you could hear it. And once you heard it, every morning you cranked it. And I had an Admiral that brought the car to me and left it with me for 2 days because, he says, hey, Toyota should take this car back and fix it or what have you. As it turned out, yes, they all had noise, and no, it didn't have a problem. I won't go into that story, except I disagreed with what Toyota's decision was there, because because of used car residual value, if you got two cars and they're both healthy and they have both the same mileage and they're both the same color, and you've got them on your used car lot and you're going to sell them to me, Bobby, or Francis, and one of them makes noise when you crank the engine and the other one doesn't, which one are you going to buy? Well, that's pretty obvious. You're going to buy the one that doesn't make the noise, even if the salesman says, oh, don't worry, it's okay. They all do that. So there are times when, yes, that's true. They all have their quirks. All cars have their quirks. But let me tell you this. If that car didn't come from the factory with something banging under the carriage, it shouldn't bang now. There's something that's obviously loose, and it's not normal for a car to have noises. And rest assured, if that car belonged to Bobby Likis, it would not make that noise. I'd find out what it was one way or the other. So my advice to you, no flame intended toward your shop, get a second opinion, but don't just hand them the keys, Francis, and I'll give you a website where you can find another shop, unless you have neighbors there. And where do you live in New York, by the way?
In Binghamton.
Binghamton. Well, you should ask your neighbors for, who they, and other Chevy owners who they use, or go by the dealer. But here's the bottom line. Do not take your car into a service shop and hand them the keys and tell them you got this noise. Go into a service shop, and I would recommend calling like a day before or so. I would recommend going in after 10 a.m. in the morning, so that between 7 or 7:30 and 10 is where they get the rush of cars that come in, and they're really busy, getting their days planned. We're in the business. That's the way it is. I mean, you hope that you're busy, and so the bottom line, about 10 o'clock, you get a breath. And just like me, about this time of the show, I catch a breath, or I take time to take a breath. So I'm telling you that the best way to communicate with your service shop is to call ahead of time and say, I'd like for you to have a technician to ride with me. And then you go in and you see Tom, Dick, or Harry, or Bobby, or whoever it was that you talk with at the service shop, and say, I'm going to you come and ride with me, and you drive the car. I mean, you can make it make the noise because it makes the noise. And then once you look at them and say, hear that noise? And then they're going to look at you, and unless they're deaf, they're going to say, yeah, I hear that noise. Then find a safe place, pull over, let them drive. Unless they say, hey, I got it, I don't need to drive. But let them drive, let them make the noise that you just made for them, and then you're almost assured that not only can they find the noise, but when they do fix it and you spend money to have it fixed, they can road test it after the repair and know that it's fixed. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And how many people do that? I mean, you'd be shocked at how many people don't do that. People come in, and I don't have anything. What I have got a pen here. They come in, they tossed the keys on the counter and they said, "Oh, I'm late for work. I got to do this," or "My wife said the car's doing this, and take care of it." Yeah, right. Well, wait. Don't hand me your keys to your car and say I'm headed off to work unless you hand me your wallet. If you're gonna, well, you laugh, Francis, but I enjoy telling my customers that, and some of them look at me and say, "Well, you're trying to be a wise." No, I'm just saying this is your child. This is your car. You pay the bills. You have to also be part of the repair. And if that makes a lot of sense, it's the way a smart, intelligent service shop owner would do to every customer. I want you to be involved in this service and this repair, unless it's a simple oil change or tire rotation or new tires, no big deal. But when you've got something that requires test time and something that is, hey, they all do it, right? So anyway, I'm a little animated because I just don't feel that in the first place, I wonder if they would tell a man the same thing that they told you as a woman. I really wonder.
I wonder too.
Yeah, really. So anyway,
well,
so my dear, you get a second opinion. You take a technician for a ride, and if he or she tells you, "Oh, they all do that," then fine. Say, "Well, let's find another '06 Impala and show me that it does it as well." That's where the rubber meets the road. You got any questions?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it all makes sense. It's practical. I mean, the simplest things are the practical things, and the good. Some of the simplest things are the good things in life. And in performing this show every year for 23 years, calls like yours drive me and just make it delightful for me to come back. And I hope that my colleagues in the new car sales and used car sales and independent service shops and chain stores and all the service shops, I hope you're listening, because this is really the way you connect with your customers. And the ones that say, "Oh, I don't care," then fine. Now, I do have customers that say, "Hey, Bobby, what's up to you? Whatever you want to do." And so unless it's going to be $1,000 or so, then yeah, I'll go ahead and take the liberty of repairing the car, because I know that it's not a big deal. But by and large, it's always a big deal. It's always too much. It's always too much money to fix cars. So it's great to be involved. I mean, you wouldn't take your child in to the doctor and say, "Okay, run along, Mary, go with Nurse Ratchet," and Nurse Ratchet. Yeah. Anyway, I have other calls, but I sure am glad you called me, and I'd love to hear back from you.
Then, in other words, you have not heard of this happening.
No.
Or that this is okay.
Cars don't make noise.
And I will call you back.
I expect that you will. And cars don't make noise. I mean, they make cranking noises, and they make rolling noises, but it didn't come from the factory making this noise. So
no, that's true.
Yeah. Well, I rest our case, my case, and your case. So let's put that case on somebody else's back, and then you get this opinion, and feel free to call me next week, and we'll see what next steps need to be taken.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Francis.